Disney Plus was supposed to rival Netflix and the Max streaming service as a major contender within the streaming wars. Unfortunately, a $4 billion loss has ruined those plans for Disney CEO Bob Iger. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the StudioJake vidcast. I, of course, am your host, Jakey Berry. Please like, share, subscribe, and consider becoming a channel member. All right, so this is amazing to me that Bob Iger, even after this proxy war that happened, Bob Iger still has a job. If I was the Disney board, which, to be fair, is loaded full of Bob Iger loyalists, this alone would make me want to get rid of him. The fact that Disney Plus cost Disney $4 billion in a loss. That is incredible to me. It's like this Netflix CEO. He keeps making stupid decisions for Netflix. He keeps raising prices. He keeps getting these weird Euro trash movies added in that just destroy everything. And he he still has his job, but even worse so because Disney is such a larger company than Netflix is. So it is just mind blowing to me that Iger still has the top spot as both chairman of the board and the CEO. But he does. And how do we know about this $4 billion loss? Well, Iger himself seems to admit it. This is according to worldofreal.com. A major issue right now for Iger is their streaming platform, Disney's streaming platform, Disney Plus, which was supposed to be Netflix's main rival in the streaming wars. That didn't turn out so well, as Netflix keeps gaining an audience. Disney Plus keeps dwindling, having lost 1.5 million subscribers during the last quarter of 2023. Speaking as part of the Moffett-Nathanson Media Internet Communications Conference, Iger admitted that Disney Plus lost a whopping $4 billion. The reason given for these huge losses was the aggressive nature of the company and wanting to tell too many stories. As we got into the streaming business in a very, very aggressive way, we tried to tell too many stories, explained Iger. Basically, invested too much, way ahead of possible returns, and it's what's led to streaming ending up as a $4 billion loss. So spending outpaced the revenue, and there's a feeling that maybe going forward, a less is better approach might benefit the company. That's why many already announced shows are getting canned by Disney. They're also pulling content out of the platform as a way to embark in tax write-offs. All right, so I'm not the first person to point this out. I believe Midnight's Edge has also talked about this. The problem is they didn't use the streaming service as sort of a supplemental thing. So what they should have done is with shows like Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision. For one thing, they tried to tie them too much to the movies. Things like failures like Secret Invasion and She-Hulk Attorney at Law. They wanted to do this mapped plan out with Marvel, with Kevin Feige, where you had to also watch the shows so you can understand what's going on in the movie. So you had to watch Loki to know who Kang was in the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which here's the issue with that. That might have been a good plan if the movies and the shows had good quality, but they don't. Ever since Kevin Feige kind of took total control over the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it has slowly dropped in quality. Before, the people who were in place to make it happen, they had this idea where the TV shows would kind of reference the movies, but the movies wouldn't wouldn't reference the shows. That's why, for instance, Phil Coulson, who returned in the TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., doesn't appear in any of the other movies outside of Captain Marvel, which is a prequel to his appearance in Iron Man 2 and then later, of course, in Thor. And of course, his untimely death, spoiler alert, in Avengers. Now, what they should have done is had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, they should have kind of kept them separate from what was going on in the movies, like those old shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they should have aired them on ABC News and then put them on Disney Plus. That would get more of an incentive because a lot of people, maybe they don't have time to watch TV because of work or school or whatever. So then they could air it on on their network and then move it over to Disney Plus, and that might have created an incentive. But they tied everything to it. What the Disney Plus special should have been is they should have been more like the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special or Werewolf by Night, where they're connected to a thing, but you don't have to watch Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special to understand Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You know, it takes place in between 2 and 3. You wouldn't have had to have watched holiday special to know what was going on in 3. That's what they should have done, but they didn't do that, and it was a complete blunder. And they didn't just do it with Marvel, they did it with Star Wars as well. They continually dropped the quality, at least as far as character development. So Mandalorian season 1 and 2, really good. Then Din, the Mandalorian, in season 3 and 4, he became subservient almost to the other characters, to side characters, which is a shame because I actually thought Katie Sackhoff makes a really good Bo-Katan, but they shouldn't have had her supplant Din in his own show. He became a damsel in distress for her to save. Book of Boba Fett was incredibly watered down and vanilla. Andor was good, but because of what happened with the Book of Boba Fett and Andor, excuse me, what happened with the Book of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, Andor got passed over. And I have a feeling this is going to be true with the Acolyte because it was also true of Ahsoka. They also ruined Star Wars Visions. Star Wars Visions was supposed to be an anime type story that is set within the Star Wars universe, apart from the pilot. I know the pilot takes place in an alternate timeline, but still. But then season 2, they decided, hey, we want people who are going to do it our way, because you saw in the anime studio they released this really epic reel of a bunch of the creators, the animators, the writers of these stories just praising Star Wars, the old, oh, we love Star Wars, we love it. And so they wrote it with old Star Wars still in mind. Disney didn't like that, so they turned to other animation studios. They should have used Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire for those other studios that were international, and they should have kept Visions anime. But no, they ruined that brand as well. And as a result of this, Disney Plus is facing this collapse. Now, supposedly one of the Marvel execs did an interview, and this is what he said, and I'm summarizing here, you can look it up for yourself, that Marvel is going to go back to the old way of doing things from before Kevin Feige took over, where the TV shows would reference the films, but the films wouldn't reference the TV shows. They're going to go back to that style of storytelling, so that way it's not so gobbledygook. And I remember I said this to Jester Bell on her live stream, where Marvel went wrong was as soon as they introduced the Avengers, outside of their highest pay or highest grossing box office, they should have just made the MCU about the Avengers. So instead of doing, say, Ant-Man, they should have done Avengers and then had those characters rally around Ant-Man, and they are somehow involved with his origin outside of a cameo from Falcon. I think that that would have, made it more interconnected and it would have worked well. Now, I don't know if this information is going to help them, but Disney, if you're watching, here's what you need to do. I agree with you. You need to go back to the original MCU plan for the TV shows where they're part of the continuity, but then they just reference the films and then the films don't reference the TV shows at all. I think that's a good step in the right direction if you're really doing that. However, you also need to stop hiring all of these trendy people who don't actually know how to do anything. You keep hiring these directors and these screenwriters and TV writers who have no clue what they're doing. She-Hulk had a budget of over $100 million. That's insane to me for a TV show. And also, you ruined the character because you wanted to have a girl boss moment. You need to go back to the original source material and re-examine it. And by the way, the actress who played She-Hulk, I think it's hilarious because during the during the SAG, the Film Actors Guild strike, after during that time, she railed against Feige and Iger. Well, now that the strike's over, all of a sudden I want us to be all is forgiven. Ha! Don't give her a second chance. I think it's absolutely preposterous. So hopefully this will right the ship for Disney Plus, because I want to see Star Wars, Marvel return to their former glory, but just under the mismanagement of Disney, it's become a disaster. I'm no longer excited for anything they put out. I was excited for Echo, then stuff came out about that. Now I wasn't excited for that. Daredevil Born Again is in a top 10 comic book run for me, but I'm not excited about what's coming from it just because of what I know Disney has done. They like to slap on a title or a name of someone and make them completely irrecognizable, like they did with Kenobi. Kenobi was unrecognizable from his appearances in the films and television show. They turned him into a pathetic simp who has to take orders from a little child. Absolutely ridiculous. Disney needs to bring these characters back to their former glory, or they're going to continue to lose those fans. And spoiler alert, all of those fake fans on social media, they don't do anything. Otherwise, these films would at least be breaking even. But it's obvious these woke SJWs that Disney you like to pander to, they don't have any money. But guess who does? The responsible fans. But we're not going to fund this ridiculousness that you continue to perpetuate on the Disney brands. If you like that video, consider liking, sharing, subscribing, ringing that little bell so you get notifications, and become a channel member if you're watching on YouTube. You get all kinds of perks. We're going to do some member-only stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you jump on board. It's going to be a blast. Now, if you don't want to support me on Big Tech, don't blame me. If you're watching on some other platform like Rumble or Odyssey, you can support me through my locals page. It's kind of like a Patreon. Click on the link. It's in the description. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on StudioJake.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die